Hello, friends. This week's stress management tool is reading, and I'm so excited about it because reading is one of my absolute favorite things to do in the whole wide world. And books are my absolute favorite thing to buy and to hoard and to decorate with. So, studies are showing that reading has huge benefits on our mental health and possibly some relationship to decreasing anxiety and depression. A 2009 study from the University of Sussex found that reading can reduce stress by up to 68%. That was reading for 6 minutes reduced people's stress levels by 68% in that study. They also found that reading works better and faster than other relaxation methods, which is not really that surprising, but definitely worth considering when we're looking at ways to manage our stress. Again, it decreases anxiety, decreases feelings of isolation, which is really, really important, boosts moods, builds hopeful feelings, fosters connections and empathy. So the isolation epidemic is something that is of great concern to the US Surgeon General since the end of COVID and all of the effects that COVID has had on us as a society and as individuals. One of the big ones has been a feeling of loneliness and isolation that is at epidemic proportions. And the findings of the Surgeon General's advisory hearing on the effects of social connection and community found that lack of social connection poses a significant risk to individual health and longevity, and that a lack of social connection can increase your risk of premature death as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That is a shocking study, but that is what they have found. And so we all need to make sure that we are connecting with people and connecting with people in meaningful ways. So, one way that we can connect with other people and definitely help them as well as ourselves is by reading. Bibliotherapy is a new therapy technique for people with mental health disorders. They meet in groups in libraries and different kinds of workspaces like that and read. Basically, they read and discuss their books, and it's been found to reduce depressive symptoms. And it has been found that fiction reading is especially beneficial for people struggling with mental health disorders or mental health problems because it increases empathy, it increases social skills, and it increases an interpersonal understanding of how society is supposed to function and what your role can be in society. So engaging with characters shows a shared sense of humanity and community. Reading also has a profound impact on our sleep. It eases our stress at night. It improves our sleep quality, relieves insomnia, decreases cognitive arousal, and promotes longer sleep duration. So, just reading a book before going to bed, turning off all the electronics, focusing in on a book, having a little escape. Preferably, it's not going to be a horror book like I've been reading lately, but a nice Jane Austen fiction or any other fiction really is going to really be beneficial to your sleep and your overall well-being. That because as we're going to learn, sleep is absolutely critical. And because sleep is so critical, um, one important way that you can be getting more sleep and making sure that you are prioritizing sleep is to develop a bedtime routine. And it's a great idea to have reading be part of that bedtime routine. So basically, our brains and our bodies love consistency, love routine. It will trigger, if you set yourself up a little routine of what you do to get ready to go to bed, it will not only help you, but your whole household. It will basically lead you into a series of calming things that's going to trigger your brain and your body that it's getting close to time to go to bed. It will also trigger your children that this is what we do when we're getting ready to go to bed. And believe it or not, it will also trigger your dogs to realize that it's time to go to bed. I have 2 dogs, and they know when it's time to go to bed, and they start to get completely crazy. So I factor in time with them into the bedtime routine so that they know that what's coming and to get all the crazy out of their systems now before we go to bed. So along those lines of a bedtime routine, reading to children is a great way to calm them down at the end of the day, introduce them to reading. A reading ritual before bedtime will help them sleep longer as well. Has all those same benefits for them that it has for us in terms of improving our sleep quality. Introducing books at an early age also promotes a love of reading, encourages self-discovery, boosts performance at school, and promotes social and personal development. And it also shows that you value reading, which if you value reading, your kids are going to value reading too. I know from personal experience. So it's probably not a huge surprise where I fall on the e-reader versus paper book debate. I am definitely a paper book person. Um, for books to have the sleep benefits that we've been talking about, you do want to use a paper book or an audio book. We'll get to those in a minute. But the problem is that e-readers have many of the same adverse effects on sleep as the cell phones and the televisions and all of the electronics that we are overwhelming our bodies with all day anyway. So those interfere with our body's production of melatonin. They reduce our REM sleep, which is really important restorative sleep that we need to make sure we are getting each night if we can. We can't control a lot of our sleep, but the longer duration and the more we do to set ourselves up for a good night's sleep, the more likely we will be to get all of the areas of sleep that we need. It also the blue lights that emit from the e-readers can delay circadian rhythms, throw off your whole system of sleep. That is your natural, we go to bed when it's dark, right? So the e-readers are definitely something, and the phones too, are something that interferes with that. They can keep you awake longer, and they leave you less alert in the morning because they do not promote quality sleep. Audiobooks, on the other hand, are a hard yes. Absolutely yes. Audiobooks are maybe even better than actually reading a book for falling asleep. You just have to make sure you set the timer because you will fall asleep and have no idea where you left off. And then you have to rewind and go back. And I've had that happen many, many, many times. So audiobooks make reading more accessible for many people. Of course, obviously they do that. But being read to is often even more relaxing than reading yourself, especially if you are listening to a voice that's just absolutely soothing and wonderful and beautiful. Bono is one recommendation. I'm listening to a Rob Lowe book right now. It's incredible. Anything where you can kind of listen to a voice that's very soothing and relaxing and is telling you a story that you just really want to hear. Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights is another great one. So Carrie Fisher, I also loved her books. So there's a ton out there, and I really like listening to the autobiographies that are read by the actual author, especially when they're handsome, famous people. But audiobooks are another great way to just relax at the end of the day, turn your brain off, listen to a wonderful story, and get swept away. Also on the apps, the Calm app I know has a whole segment of bedtime stories that are delightful and lovely and have wonderful people with wonderful voices reading those as well. So I highly recommend. So again, books, so good for you, so good for your mental health, so good for our isolation, combating isolation and encouraging social connection. It's, we can talk about them with each other, we can be in book clubs, or it just allows us to connect in a way that television and other forms just really don't. So hit me up for any recommendations. I read all the time, all the time. And I hope that you go grab a book right now and go to bed. All right. See you soon.